In this video, I will show you how to complete card number 6, and that will finish the 6 cards that are required for Project 7A. I'll also show you 2 alternate ways to complete card number 2, and those will be cards numbers 7 and 8. After that, I'm going to show you a few other things about InDesign. First, notice that I've rearranged some of my palettes. I thought it might be handy for this last project to have my swatch palette and my layers palette and my pages palette together as a palette group, because those are the ones I'll be using for the last part of this project. I probably should have done that at the beginning. I tend to have palettes scattered all over the place eventually. I also keep my type palettes together: paragraph, paragraph style, character, and character style. We don't actually do anything with character style or paragraph style on this project, but I will show you something about that after we complete the 3 cards. I'm going to Command A, select all, Command C, copy, go down to card number 6, and Command Option Shift V, paste, so that even if I'm not centered in my workspace, it will paste in exactly the same place. I have a 2-color version for card 5 and a 4-color version for card 6. I can verify that looking at my links. This one is the 4-color process or CMYK logo, and I need to get my 4-color process logo into the same position on this card that the 2-color was on the other one. And I could do that with XY coordinates at the top. I could do it by going into overprint preview and try to line these up as best I can. But let's think about this for a minute. Both of these logos were created from the same Illustrator file, so the logo is in exactly the same position on the same size artboard for both of these logos. So I don't actually need this one. What I can do is select this one, go to my links palette, and this one, let's just go back and do this one too. On page 5, I don't need this 4-color process logo here. Making sure I'm on page 6, check the bottom, page 6. You can check my page palette. I'm on page 6. And for this logo, I can go to the links palette and right-click on this one and say relink, and then relink that to wherever I have those files. I have it in my Design Lab Demo Sandbox folder. Select this one, say open, and now my links palette says I have a ZYX logo 2C on page 5 and a ZYX logo CMYK on page 6. I can verify that with my separation preview, which I thought I had on there. I guess I don't. So Window, Output, Separation Preview. Turn on the separation preview, seems to be on. Turn off the CMYK and everything disappears. On card 5, the ZYX is still there because it's Pantone 186. So I have black and I have Pantone 186. On this card, I have black and I don't have Pantone 186. I've got some yellow and some magenta and a little bit of cyan to make a 4-color match to Pantone 186. I now need the image that's going to bleed on the side here. That's the Chicago Hancock JPEG that you should have downloaded. You're probably wondering why the ZYX Corporation at 623 South Wabash has a picture of the Hancock building. I don't have a real good explanation for that. I'll say there's a sales office on the ground floor of the Hancock building, and that's why they have the Hancock building on some of the cards. Sounds good, doesn't it? So I need the picture, Command D, place, and I left that image on my desktop. Here it is, Chicago Hancock. There, it's loaded into my cursor. I'm going to go right up to the corner of the bleed line because I know that's where it has to bleed to, and click and drop it in there. Now it doesn't seem to fit. Select the upper left reference point so that when I change it, the corner stays put. This at 75%. By coincidence, this exactly fits from the top bleed line to the bottom bleed line. It crowds my logo a little bit, so I'm going to make it a little narrower on this side, and actually I like that to be exactly 1.375 inches wide so that there's a 1/8 inch bleed and 1 1/4 inches showing on the card. And that completes all 6 cards. Here's another thing that's a good idea on commercial projects. If I'm done with a project and I've monkeyed around with a bunch of colors and done some experiments and things, the only thing I want in my final swatch palette when I complete the file are the colors that are actually used. So select all unused and delete them. Likewise, in paragraph styles or character styles, if I use lots of different character styles or paragraph styles while I'm trying to figure out exactly how my layout's going to work, I will select and delete all unused paragraph styles and character styles so that I have a clean, neat, organized file. The other thing I do is, as I did before on these, if I have extra pieces sitting outside the document on my workspace. I'll delete anything that's not actually part of the project just to keep a tidy file, neat and organized. Okay, that's it. So I'll Command-Shift-S, save as, and this is my last name or your last name, DL7A, as an INDD file, and Command-E, export. I want to export that as my last name or your last name, DL7A, as a PDF. Save, and here we want to make sure that we're using the commercial print standard, which is PDF X1A. This won't make a large file because everything in it except the one photograph is vector based. Compression. Standard commercial printing compression or image size is 300 pixels per inch. I think I may have mentioned this before. When you scan a photo on a scanner, or when you're working with a photo from another source, a digital camera or wherever, it should be scanned or should be saved in such a size that at the size you intend to use it on the project, it will be at least 300 pixels per inch. And that allows 2 pixels for every dot in a 150 line per inch halftone. 2 pixels per line of halftone screen, but that's 2 pixels by 2 pixels for each dot. Grayscale images, I don't have any, so that's fine. Monochrome images, that would be like bitmaps, things that are what we used to call line art, 1200 pixels per inch, that's fine. I don't have any in this, so it doesn't make any difference. The more important thing here is marks and bleeds. All printers marks. I want all printers marks. And use document bleed setting. This is exactly what I would do if I was setting this up to send to a commercial printer to run 10,000 business cards for the ZYX Corporation. And I'll export that. I have that little box checked. Let me go back to my program for a second here. Command-E, export. This little X after that, make a different file. I'm not going to actually do this one. View PDF after export. So I do that so that as soon as the document is created, it will open up and I can inspect it, because you never want to send a PDF to a client or to a commercial printer or to your professor that you have not personally inspected yourself to make sure it shows what you think it shows. Here are my business cards in the PDF with the marks and bleeds. The bleeds don't matter much on the first 5 cards, but they do matter on the 6th. So, and notice that when you include all marks, your file name shows in the outside area. This would be the slug area. You can actually add a larger slug area if you wanted to put a lot of other information in, but all I need is that you have the right name on your file, and it shows here, and the date and the time, all that would show up. These are registration marks, these are the trim marks, and these are the bleed marks. In Acrobat, you can see all the pages right here. You can delete pages or insert pages from here. Card 1, Card 2, Card 3, Card 4, Card 5, Card 6. I have this in my grading tools set up, but you will find under Tools, Print Production. And in Print Production, right at the top, Output Preview. If I turn off the Pantone 186 and I'm looking at card number 6, nothing should change. If I go to card 5, the ZYX part of the logo should be missing. And so obviously, if I turn off black, I should only see that. If I turn off black on this one, I get a 3-color process image and a ZYX logo in a red, but not the correct red. It should have a little black to it. If I turn off the yellow, magenta, and cyan, it should make absolutely no difference at all in the type, but it does change the logo. And on this card, it makes no change at all because there should only be black and red on this card. That's the end of the 6-card set. Back in InDesign, let's go back to card 2. Well, how should we do this? We could insert pages, 2 pages after page 6 using the A master. Go to card 2, select the text frame, Command-C copy, go to card 7, and Command-Option-Shift-V paste. I'm going to turn off Overprint Preview because if you'll notice, my hidden characters do not show in Overprint Preview. A lot of things don't show in Overprint Preview. So I said there was another way to do this bottom part. One way, Command-A, select all, Command-Shift-T, get my tab set up, clear all tabs. So now I have no tabs. Okay, if I have no tabs, I have another little character here I can put in, type right indent tab. There's another way to do that. You don't have to go up into the type pull down. You can see it took me a little bit to find it. It's Shift Tab. Regardless of the paragraph alignment, that forces anything to the right of that over to the right margin. So that's one way. The reason I did it the first time with tabs is because I wanted you to learn tab stops and tab alignments. So that's a second way to do that. Another way you could do that is use a tab character with no tab stops, but change this to a right alignment, and that works. But again, that doesn't teach you anything about Command-Shift-T actually using tab stops. Another way to do that without using tabs, just delete the tab stops, go back to my quad left paragraph alignment, or flush left, or left aligned. Put a soft return, that's Shift Return, after Wabash. I'm going to select the phone number. Let me take that return to Command X, cut that, put a hard return, which is just hit the enter key or the return key after 60605. Pull this open a bit, and here before my name, Command V, paste in the phone number. I don't need the 30 points space before, so I'm going to change that back to 0. 623 South Wabash, Chicago, Illinois. This is in the right place. How do I get this to the other side without using tabs? Another feature of InDesign, Command B text frame options, is that you can have multiple columns. There we have multiple columns, and that's a good start. I can also, with those multiple columns, select some things, some paragraphs. I'm going to have to just slide this over a little bit to get the rest of my paragraph control panel to show, because you'll see over here on the end I have 2 columns. I have a 1 pica or gutter. I have a none here. This is span columns. I could either split this again, or I could span all the columns. And then this part down here, I can make this flush right. I'll slide this back in, flush right, close up the window, forcing that second paragraph to move over in the next column. So that gives the same effect with no tab stops at all. I'm going to just go back up to card 2, because that would be a good place to show you things that we never do. Things we never do are hold the space bar down to get things where you want them. That isn't done. You do that again here. If you do that and then someone says, we're not using Helvetica, we're not going to use Helvetica, we're going to use Baskerville. Look, that spacing didn't work. If I do it the other way, using a tab stop, and I change the font, I might have to adjust the position of the tab stops for a different size type, but probably not when all I have to deal with is a right aligned tab stops. I could change this to Baskerville and the setup is still exactly the same. Another thing we don't do is, instead of using the system that they have carefully developed for us, where we can add space before or space after paragraphs, we don't use the return key to space things vertically. It lacks precision, and I can't even get it to where I need to be that way. I've seen students now go in and use baseline shift to move things, and I've already warned you that baseline shift is a really bad way for adjusting spacing when you already have a better system. The other thing about this is, okay, they just said it's not going to be Baskerville, it's going to be Palatino Linotype, it's going to be, this will all be 9 on 11. That just changed all the positioning again. It would change the position anyway if we did it the other way, but it's not as big a disaster to fix if you're not using line spaces to adjust things. Undo all that and go back to the way it's supposed to be. I had a few more things in InDesign that I wanted to show you, but they're not required for this project, so I'll show those in a separate video.